My name's Jamie Straw. I coordinate the Woodturning program at Barn in the Wood Studio, and I've been there since 2017. I've been there since the grand opening. I had a woodworking shop at home. My husband was working out of state, so I was on my own and I had a lot of spare time. So I started my own woodworking shop at home, and it was just a thing where I had all the tools that I needed to do what I was doing. And then I saw a wood lathe for sale, so I bought it. And after that, I took a class in Port Townsend from Bonnie Klein, who's a very well-known wood turner, and fell in love with it. And once I started turning, I didn't really want to do much else. I've always loved tools since I was a little kid. Personally, for me, I enjoy something where I don't have to do a lot of math and a lot of 3D concepts. I love the wood. So I can put a piece of wood on the lathe, I pick it out, I decide how to cut it, what I want it to look like, featuring the qualities of the wood that are really interesting. And then I can create something out of that without a lot of table saw work and that kind of thing. It's more just working personally with the wood. I like maple and I like madrone. Those are my two favorites from around here. I like woods that have figure in them. Burls, quilted maple, tiger maple, those kinds of things, or barking, what we call bark inclusions, where the bark grows into the heart of the tree, and you get to expose that. It just depends on the wood. Bruce Claiborne came over when Barn had not been even built yet. And he was in my shop one day and he tried to talk me into going to Baby Barn and getting involved. But at that time, I was the program coordinator for the local chapter of the American Association of Woodturners. And I was really busy. I was on the board and all that. So I told him I don't have time. But then when Barn opened in 2017, I really wanted to come. I saw the tools and I signed up right away. The way I got to teaching was that I turned here for probably 2 months and nobody else was turning in the studio. I like turning with people sometimes, to just bounce ideas. And so I went upstairs and I suggested that if they needed somebody to teach introductory classes, that I could do that. And it just kind of took off from there. The lathes are checked off separately from the other tools in the shop. So somebody who's a current wood turner and wants access to our lathes can come in, make an appointment with me. I spend about a half hour, an hour with them, having them show me how they mount stock and the type of tool technique that they use and how they can stay safe. I fill them in on what our safety protocol is because everybody has their own in their own shop. And then if everything goes well, then they just get checked off on the lathe. If they bring their own tools that are high-speed steel, they're welcome to use our sharpening system. But if they want to use our tools, we have an extensive selection of very high-quality tools, then they need to take a 2.5-hour sharpening class so that they learn to sharpen our profiles according to the way we sharpen them. And that way, when we have many people sharpening tools, they all end up looking pretty much the same. If you've never turned before, or you turned 30 years ago in high school, which happens a lot, then we ask you to take Introduction to Wood Turning. And that's a 9-hour class to get you safe on the lathe and get you started with good gouge skills. The tools we use are mostly gouges. That qualifies you for spindle turning, which are the smaller projects that are handle type type things. If you want to go on to bowls, then once you get fairly comfortable with the spindle turning, then you can go on and take the introduction to bowl turning. That starts you off with smaller bowls. And then you kind of work your way up from there. So those are the basic classes. And some people start with those and they go on to really big things. Some people want more classes. They want more supervision as they advance. So we try to accommodate both learning styles. We're very welcoming to people who have absolutely no tool skill. I even taught somebody who had never used a hammer. I take people where they start, and we work up from there. I've taught lots of, maybe 3 or 4 different physical skills over my many years. And I'm a firm believer in progressing from where you're at and doing things in a progressive manner. I'm not a person who's gonna throw somebody down the ski mountain and say, figure it out. You know, I like to teach people. So in terms of the wood shop in general, same thing. We're very welcoming, and we have everything from super basic woodworking skills. We have lots of people who will help. We help you stay safe, and then we help you learn how to do what you want to do. The wood turning in particular, we help during open studio. There are 3 or 4 of us that are usually there, 1 or 2 of us, almost all the time. And we'll help you when you need help. We'll make suggestions. You can ask us questions. In addition to that, both in the regular studio and where the lathes are, we have guided open studio classes. And they're usually a couple of times a month where an instructor sets aside time during open studio where 2 to 3 people can sign up. Whatever project they're working on, we help you with it. So it's like a class inside open studio, but you get to choose what you want to work on that particular time. Sometimes it's basic fundamental skills. Sometimes it's a particular project that you want guidance with. We also encourage our turners to take a bandsaw class, a bandsaw specific class, because there's a lot of that involved in making your stock. I teach a wood for turners class, which helps people find wood, learn how to cut it up if they want, you know, when they make their blanks to get the best out of the wood, how to take care of it so that it doesn't crack, different parts of the tree that they can use for different things, the different kinds of trees and what are good for turning and maybe not so good. So that's a fun class that comes up twice a year maybe. One thing I really encourage people to do if they're interested in the class is to, if they can't get into the next class, get on the wait list. Even if the next class is filled, which sometimes happens, get on that wait list. And then sign up for the one that's open. I think the wood and the movement, I think turning something on the fly, you know, working with wood when it's moving, the shavings are flying all over the place. It's a great deal of satisfaction to make a big piece of wood much smaller and get a shape at the end of it. It's just, I think it's the movement. It's not static. It's not static. And it's a natural, organic sort of experience. And I actually have students tell me that. I tell them that sometimes. I tell them to zen with the wood. But then a new student, once they get over the nervousness about the simple turning and they start just shaping a piece, and I see the look on their face, and then they'll stop and they'll look at me and they'll say, I get the meditation thing. You know, one of the sayings that helps a lot with learning is let the wood cut itself. Just present the tool, figure out how to hold it, figure out what speed, let the wood cut itself. And when you get that kind of connection with the wood, it's really not hard.